Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Scoop. My name is Dan, and I'm the primary content creator here on I Feel Like Learning. Inside Scoop is a series where I'll be talking to students in a wide variety of majors to see what it's really like to be enrolled in their specific major programs. We'll also discuss the career opportunities that these students have after graduating. Welcome to Inside Scoop. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Scoop. Today I'm joined with someone else that you guys know, a frequent content creator, a roundtable alum, Olivia.
Hey everyone. Hey Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, getting ready for school start again. So,
yeah. When we're recording this right now, it's in the winter break period for a lot of colleges right now. So
mhm.
I think we're all getting in that mindset of having to end that holiday slump and get back into all that
Yes.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've heard Olivia and I in a previous episode talk about how they're both pre-law. They both want to go into law school after college. But now we're going to look a little bit more specifically into Olivia's today and then Dry's a little bit later, their specific undergraduate majors. So let's get into it, I guess. So Olivia, what major are you?
Yeah, so at my school, my major is called individual, and it's part of the individualized design study department. So basically it's a self-design major. Mine specifically combines courses from classics, uh, philosophy and political science classes. And yeah, I love being able to um I love that I was able to self-design my major and definitely would recommend it for certain people. I think for me personally being pre-law track, it's perfect. Um but I know for some other areas it might be not the road you want to take. So definitely is dependent on what you want to do in the future.
hmm I think that that's definitely one of the prominent themes that if you've been watching all the episodes of Inside Scoop, or if maybe this is your first one, but definitely one of the prominent themes that I've heard from students across the board is that they wish they had more flexibility in their
Mhm.
schedules, the courses they get to take. So I think having the option of doing like a self-design major or like this individual, as your school calls it, that's kind of
Mhm.
a great way to kind of put what you want to learn, especially when you know that you're going on to a more specialized program afterwards.
Yeah, definitely loved it for that reason. For my school, we have a requirement for all majors to have a specific methods class, and because of my individual study, I was able to make it my logic course. So like little things like that, you're able to kind of cater it towards what you want. Definitely in the ability that I could just say, I want this class to fit and I want that class. Obviously, we need the whole department and the heads to authorize that. But I feel like I have a lot more flexibility in my education compared to some others at my school and definitely at other institutions.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I guess like because you're going or because you're
Hmm.
pre-law and you want to go to law school, what attracted you specifically to doing kind of this custom design major? Because as you'll hear from Daria in a couple episodes, she's choosing a more kind of specific major. So I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
like for you, what attracted you to go on this like self-design route?
yeah.
Okay.
Just to back it up a little bit, when I first came to my college, I planned on majoring in classics. I thought about that for years actually in high school. And it was only after talking to my first year advisor um, that I decided to do an individual study. For me, my biggest draw was that I didn't need a specific major to go to law school. There wasn't anything they were looking for specifically. Um, there wasn't anything I needed to specifically take. And for me, this freedom really allowed me to actually enjoy all my classes that I'm taking. Um, and I feel like that kind of passion and that expression of creativity kind of shows with my formation of the major.
Mhm.
Um,
It's
I'm the
nice with sorry, I was gonna
no,
say
you
it's
go.
nice with like pre-law as opposed to other things like pre-med, because like pre-med
Hmm.
has so many prerequisite courses that you have to
Yes.
take, whereas pre-law it seems like a lot more just do what you want to do, and as long as you can express and show your best self to a law
Hmm.
school admissions committee, then that's kind of your ticket in.
Yeah, I remember hearing from one law school advisor who basically said that one of their star applicants that year was actually a dance major. And I think that kind of just shows you like you don't need to be a poli sci major or whatnot to be able to go to law school. My major specifically, like it shows that I have writing skills. It shows critical thinking. All those little elements that really are what law schools in general kind of care about and want their students to be able to master.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that isn't unique to any single major. Um, yeah, I learn about government, I learn about politics, I learn how to write, how to argue as any other humanities major would.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of what we were saying before too, it doesn't have to be a humanities major either. I think there's many like bio majors who go into law school.
Yeah, like
Um,
I've definitely considered law school just
yeah,
because, as you guys might know, I did have that whole law background in high school. So I've
yes.
definitely contemplated it here and there. But it is
Hmm.
nice to see how, like, for you specifically, this kind of self-design, this custom design major kind of allowed you to get all these skills that are necessary, but through like the focal point of the things that you're specifically interested in. And I on it,
Yes.
like, obviously, I'm not a part of a law school admissions committee or anything like that, but I would think that that would be even kind of better because it shows not only that you know how to do X, Y, and Z, but that you were passionate about doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I really hope they get that from what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of talking about this a little in the very beginning, but I definitely heard some criticisms of doing this. I know for some careers, especially those where you go straight from college, some places might have preferred if I strictly triple majored in these three areas or double majored in two
Mm-hmm.
um, specific areas that they definitely know. I think everyone knows what a philosophy curriculum is. Not everyone would know what my specific major is called, which is political theory in the classical voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little confusing and not
Yeah.
as easy to read on a resume. So I think for those who are seeking a career straight from college, um, it might be better to just double major or get a couple minors if you want to go into various disciplines. For me, though, I mean, my focus of study is very interdisciplinary, so it works well as an individualized major. Um, and because I know I'm going to law school, I've known for a very long time I want to go to law school. It wasn't really a worry for me
Mm-hmm.
um, about my major's
It
choice.
does seem very kind of situational specific. Like
Yes.
if you're going into one of a more like a professional program, another graduate program after your
Hmm.
undergrad, it definitely seems like, oh, a self-design path could be the right path for you. But if you're
Yes.
going into a career right afterwards, maybe like companies would like to see those kind of key or
Hmm.
buzz majors that kind of everyone's familiar with. So it is
Yeah.
interesting to see like that double-edged sword that comes with it.
No, it is. It is very interesting.
I guess more generally, just talking about like the process of like self-designing your own major. What was it like to do that? What's life like as a student who has to kind of pick their courses from maybe not a specified finite selection, but can more branch out? It's like, what was it like for you?
Yeah. For me, so for my school, they have a specific form and a couple different documents you have to fill out to be able to apply to have this major. For me, I spent some time looking on my registrar's website for my school, looking at the course catalog and figuring out which classes I think would fit well for what I wanted to study. It helped that I already was kind of taking classes that fit this mode. I was taking what I wanted to study from the beginning. And I kind of just figured out what I wanted to take further, what I needed to. Like they had for me personally a couple 300 level requirements and a methods course, and then my capstone, which is like our senior paper thesis.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. I don't know how it works in other schools, but we have the ability to switch that list that we submitted later on in our career if we want to have a different class to fill that requirement, or that class is no longer available.
Hmm.
So I filled one of my 300 level classes with philosophy of law, I'm pretty sure. But this semester, I'm actually taking political theory 300 level, and that is going to fill that spot. So, again, it might just be school specific, but my school is really flexible and allows us to take charge of our education in that way.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you find that like your advisors, kind of your advising team, I guess, like are they all kind of supportive of like what you're choosing and all that?
Very. Yeah. For me, I have two specific advisors, but the whole department, they're awesome because it's interdisciplinary. We have professors from all different sorts of departments. My two, one is strictly IDS and another one is philosophy. And it's great also. The two of them have a great relationship as well. So the three of us can meet often and discuss anything. But yeah, they're all very supportive.
No, yeah, that's definitely super important, especially when you are doing something that's not like set in stone like this, to be able to like comfortably go to help from these people from your kind of academic support system is kind of a
Yeah.
great way to go about that.
Yeah. And also, I think it's nice because sometimes I think you could feel a little alone when you're in an individual major because, as the
Hmm.
name suggests, you're on your own doing it. It's individual to you. Um, so while I have friends who know other um, Spanish majors or whatnot, I don't really have the relatability with other students
Yeah. I guess honestly
because,
that kind of
yeah.
moves into my next question. Like, what's
Hmm.
something that you wish you knew about like a self-design program before you started?
Yeah, I think I wish I knew how independent I would
Hmm.
be um, in creating it, and then in my continuation throughout my entire time at school.
Hmm. Do you find that, I guess, do you find that like collaborating with fellow peers is hard given that you are like a self-design major, or do you still find it fairly easy and accessible?
Yeah, I think I find it, I won't say easy, but pretty manageable.
Okay,
I
that's good.
think it definitely works as like a starter um, for a lot of my poli sci classes. I kind of go in being um, with a philosophical mind, and the same kind of thing for my philosophy. And I'm always able to bring up my classics courses and the background I have from that as well to those two areas. So in that way, it's almost like I could switch which perspective I am in, where I feel other students are kind of looking at strictly as a poli sci major
Mhm.
or whatever.
I didn't really think about that, but it would be cool kind of how you can have these different perspectives almost on these different topics. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to another student a couple episodes ago. Her major was business and engineering. Like that
Mm.
was one major. So
Oh, wow.
like we were talking about how it's interesting how like in the engineering classes you can get like a business perspective of how to like make money off of this. And in the engineering classes you can see how these skills can be used as a business. And I think that that really kind of applies to your situation as well, because
Yeah.
like you were saying, from going from like classics to political science to philosophy, all those kind of like, yes, they're intertwined, I would think, but they're not
Hmm.
specifically like overlapping completely on top of one another. So it is definitely cool to see kind of knowing your knowledge of these kind of three separate entities, bringing them all together to kind of create a culmination almost of like a wider breadth of knowledge.
Yeah, it's truly my favorite part about college is being able to study what I want and having such interdisciplinary um, an experience. Basically, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
whole experience is interdisciplinary, and it's so awesome to make these connections, um, to compare um, different things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess we kind of touched it on it a little bit earlier, but I guess if you weren't going to law school, so I guess you're gonna
Hmm.
maybe you honestly might not even know this given your situation,
Yeah.
but if you were a self-design major and you weren't necessarily going to law school, what are just general career options or opportunities would you think would be available to self-design majors?
Yeah, for self-design majors, it's definitely dependent on what you're studying because you could have, a science designed major. I know of someone actually in my school who has, specifically environmental, studies in Native American society.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's all these random different things you could come up with. For my major, I think I definitely could go in any writing background. I think all three of my classes um, really prioritized writing,
Hmm.
and I've done so much of it. And then I've done writing in various ways because of these three classes. It's a very different style of writing, philosophy versus poli sci, and then classics. You kind of get the history style of writing.
Hmm.
Um, but I also think like a job in government that's not strictly an attorney, but rather like working for the state in some manner. I think that could kind of work as well. And
Hmm.
then grad school, I think too, would work.
Yeah. Do you think that it's if you are thinking about doing a self-design major that it's good to have an idea of the career or kind of path that you want to take afterwards?
Yeah. I mean, I think for most majors, it's not a necessary component to know what you want to do with it, but it's definitely helpful. For self-design majors, it's probably even more important just because you're going to be um, unique in a
Hmm.
career competitiveness as a candidate. I
Yeah, it's
think,
like that double-edged
yeah.
sword that we were talking about earlier, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like that one person who we were talking about was doing environmental studies as well as like Native American studies. If
Yeah.
they want to go into a job specifically regarding like conservation or Native American lands, they would be probably perfect
It would
for
be
that.
perfect. Yeah.
But if they want to go into maybe just a general environmental science job,
Mm-hmm.
I would think that maybe I would personally think that maybe they weren't as prepared as just someone who is strictly environmental science.
Yeah. So that uniqueness could definitely benefit you, make you stand out in a positive, but it could also definitely
Hmm.
hurt
It
your
like
chances of comparing against other candidates.
I would just say make sure you're like really sure kind
Mm-hmm.
of what you want to do, especially if you are doing a self-design major.
Yeah.
And I'd assume like with a self-design major that it's the same thing as most majors. If you don't like it, you could switch out, right?
Yes. Yeah, you definitely can. And then also just on to add on to what you're saying, I think it's also really good to have an established relationship with your advisors,
Hmm.
um, and one that you could continue working with
Yeah.
throughout.
I'd say always have a good relationship with your
Yes.
advisor. I think a lot of students struggle with that, but especially
Mm-hmm.
if you are doing such a kind of advisor heavy thing like a self-design major where you need like constant input to make sure like you're on the
Yeah.
right track. I definitely say reach out to your advisor. Maybe even if you're thinking of applying to college to do a self-design major, like reach out ahead of time
Mm-hmm.
just to see like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, is it even worth applying or attending if it's possible or not, things like that.
Yeah, and I think any professor, any faculty would be glad to talk to you about their department. I know
Hmm.
at my school, the IDS department is even more enthusiastic than anyone else I've ever met. So definitely reach out if you have any questions. They are happy and ready to help you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that in terms of just everything that I've encountered, what I've heard other people say, and I think that's just totally 100% on the dot. Well, yeah, that was an inside scoop into the life of a self-design major. If you have any questions for Olivia, feel free to write them in the comments below. You can contact us via our website. And you guys know her from Roundtable, a new series that we're developing, which is probably out by now by the time that this specific episode of Inside Scoop gets posted. So you guys will know before we do recording what replaced Roundtable. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely let us know. Olivia's around. She's constantly on the channel, so you guys will hear from her again, I'm sure.
Yes.
As always, links to everything can be found in the description below. And yeah, thank you, Olivia, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Thank you for watching this episode of Inside Scoop. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our new releases. New episodes of Inside Scoop will be available every Friday. Also, be sure to check out other content from I Feel Like Learning, as well as all the other I Feel Like productions. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep staying informed, and keep on learning.